Hello, y'all. I know I ain't been on here in a while, but I did say I was gonna start reading that book, Medical Apartheid, and I did start reading it. So this is gonna be my first video about the book. And so far, I read the first 11 pages of it, and I've learned quite a lot. I've also started wrote down some things that I wanted to talk about this book about, or that I want to explain to break down this book. This is the cover of the book. I think you guys should get it. Start reading it. It's very interesting. It talks about all the medical experiments that they've done to us in the past and they're still doing today. And it's very, very interesting. So, let's see. Let's start. Medical Apartheid by Harriet A. Washington. And this is knowledge for everyone to know. Right? White, black, everybody should know this knowledge and know the history of this country and know a lot of what's going on today. Because this book is in the first part talks about what's his name, James Marion Sims, the father of modern gynecology, the father of gynecology. Okay, and this is a sick man. Okay. Right in here it says, Betsy's voice has been silenced by history, but as one reads Sims' biographies and his own memoirs, a haughty, self-absorbed researcher emerges, a man who bought black women slaves, and addicted them to morphine in order to perform dozens of quite painful, distressingly intimate vaginal surgeries. Not until he had experimented with his surgeries on Betsy and her fellow slaves for years did Sims essay to cure white women. That is sick. That is sick. It's just sick. So, this white man in this passage right here used surgeries and used black women's bodies to go cure the white woman. That's it. Okay? This is on page 2, by the way, in the book. In the introduction section, this is page 2. Okay? It's just crazy, man. It's fun here. It says mainstream newspapers and magazines often report disease in an ethnocentric manner that shrouds the true cost among African Americans. For example, despite heavy emphasis on genetic ailments among blacks, fewer than 0.5% of black deaths, that's less than one death in 200, can be attributed to hereditary disorders such as sickle cell anemia. A closer look at the troubling numbers reveals that blacks are not dying of exotic, incurable, poorly understood illnesses nor of genetic diseases that only target them, but rather of common ailments that are more often prevented and treated among whites than among blacks. So what it's saying is, in our reality, whites get better treatment in the healthcare system. Okay, cancer is the nation's greatest killer. Is diagnosed later in blacks and carries off proportionally more African Americans than whites. African Americans suffer the nation's highest rate of cancer and cancer death. This is on page 3 of the book. Okay. So, It's just crazy what this book tells you about. It's crazy how this country operates. And what page did I finish up to? Oh, I guess I didn't see anything past page 11 or past. I'm only go up to what I marked up. So, okay, yeah. Here it says on page 4. It says a black woman is 2.2 times more likely as a white woman to die of breast cancer. Black women have been undergoing mammograms at the same rate as white women, but are more likely to receive poor quality of screening, which may not detect cancer in time for a cure. A black woman is also more likely to develop her cancer before the age of 40, too early for recommended mammograms to catch it. And the black women are diagnosed at a more advanced age than either Hispanic or white breast cancer patients. Black breast cancer patients have a worse overall prognosis and worse prognosis at each stage. Black men have the nation's highest rates of developing and dying from prostate and lung cancers. Despite its image as a disease that affects middle-aged white men, heart disease claims 50% more African Americans than whites. African Americans die from heart attacks at higher rates than whites. African Americans are more likely to develop serious liver ailments such as hepatitis C, the chief cause of liver transplants. They are also more likely to die from liver diseases, not because of any inherent racial susceptibility. Basically, what it's saying is not because of the different races. Is what it's saying, but because blacks are less likely to receive aggressive treatment with drugs such as interferon or life-saving liver transplants. Even the legion of the newest illnesses, emerging diseases. Even the legion of newest illnesses, emerging diseases such as HIV, AIDS, and hepatitis C kills blacks at a much higher rate than whites. AIDS, the scourge of our time, has become a disease of the people of color. Here and abroad, 49% of HIV infected Americans are African Americans. 80% and 80% of children with AIDS are African American or Hispanic. Blacks are 10 times more likely to develop AIDS as whites. Now, with that part, right? Not only just racism in that part, but what I'm saying is too, is that we have to look at something that's in a culture with that also. A lot of this baby mama and baby daddy drama, stop all that. A lot of this, what's the word? Hit it and quit it. Unsafe sex. That part we can stop. You know what I mean? That part we can stop. Because one thing I will promote is this: before you have sex with anybody, whether you are lesbian, straight, gay, whatever you're going to be, go get yourself checked out. Sorry. Shit. Go get yourself checked out to make sure that you're okay. To make sure that you and your partner know exactly what you're getting into. Ain't no bullshit. Okay? That's one thing I will say about that. What's this say? Mental ailments are destroying blacks as well. Black women suffer the highest rates of stress and major depression in the nation, and suicide rates soar 200% among young black men just within 20 years. Sorry about that. I'll turn it off. I'll pause that. So, now, what I really want to understand is this. With all of these treatments and stuff like that, because you find that in a lot of these diseases, you find that for some reason we get affected more. Now, How is that possible? That I'm at a higher rate because I'm black to get AIDS than the white guy. You know, I really think that there are many chemical differences between our bodies, between me and the white man, or me and the Asian man, or whatever. Because I really want to know that if we're all human beings, if we're all the same on the inside, how is it that we get affected more? I really want to know that because in all reality, they poison everybody. You know, there's lead in the water everywhere. So, let's see how much juice I got. I can't be on here too long because my thing's dying. So that's what I really want to know. Maybe y'all can tell me in the description. Maybe y'all can explain it to me. If you guys are doctors or whatever, explain it to me. Oh, here. This is what I was just reading is between pages 4 and 5 of Medical Apartheid. Okay. This is now on page 6 of what I bookmarked. These subjects were given experimental vaccines known to have unacceptably high lethality and were enrolled into experiments without their consent or knowledge. Were subjected to surreptitious surgical and medical procedures while unconscious, injected with toxic substances, deliberately monitored rather than treated for deadly ailments, excluded from life-saving treatments, or secretly farmed for sera or tissues that were used to perfect technologies such as infectious disease tests. Now, with this part right here, the paragraph above it, it talks about how a lot of these, what do you call it, clinics and all of these things, they put them in the black community. So you see there's no different. Everything is placed strategically, just like the abortion clinics. It says, where does it say it? Right here. Where does it say it? It says American University Research Centers have historically been located in inner city areas, and according a disproportionate number of these abuses have involved experiments with African Americans. Actually, yeah, let's go back and read the whole paragraph right now. Many studies enrolled only or principally African Americans, although included some smattering of Hispanics. Some research studies specifically excluded white subjects according to the terms of their official protocols, right? The federally required plans that detail how research studies are conducted. However, other human medical experiments, the recruitment of blacks and the poor, is a tacit feature of the study because the recruit subjects from heavily black inner city areas that tend to surround American teaching hospitals. The American University Research Centers have historically been located in the inner city areas, and according a disproportionate number of these abuses have involved experiments with African Americans. Now, and that right there, so they want to experiment on white people. That's a privilege right there. They want to experiment on them. Majority, but they experiment on everybody else. They experiment on us. Okay, the next paragraph says, these subjects were given experimental. Oh, I read that part already. That's the part about the treatments and stuff like that, the vaccines and whatnot, which is why I don't believe in vaccines. Okay. Now, I'm on page 8 now. Okay? So keep following me, y'all. Please get this book. Get this book. It's on Amazon. I think that, they have a saying, if you want to hide something from a Negro, put it in the book. So guess what? All this stuff right here is in a book. Or a tablet, whatever you're going to do, get a book. Turn the TVs off, turn the radio off. Sometimes you really got to control what you see, what you put in your mind. Sometimes it's good to just put down everything down and just read something. Even if it's a textbook, a science book or something. Sometimes it's good to just read some stuff and gain some knowledge. You know what I mean? Knowledge is power. If we really want to empower ourselves, first things first is the school system, which is encompassing reading. I'm not the best. I'll not read myself, but I can read. I can at least try to understand what's going on the page. If not, I can Google a word and try to figure it out. We gotta get into that, man. Bones in the Basement by Robert Bakley and Judith Harrington documents the archaeological evidence that revealed how the Medical College of Georgia used stolen African American bodies for physician training. Really? Okay. Hormones, Acres of Skin chronicles experimentation in Philadelphia's Holmberg prison complex. The treatment by Martha Steffens does the same with Cincinnati's radiation experiments. See? They are trying to experiment on us. A lot of these schools and stuff like that. Where do you think they started from? These medical schools. Experimentation on black people. Okay, that's what I read so far. That's what I want to talk about here. And that's part one, the first 11 pages that I scribbled through, wrote down so far. If y'all want to, I do try to put where I'm getting it from. And that way y'all can go ahead and y'all can read. Y'all can turn to the page and read what I'm saying and see it for yourself. I don't want you to just take my word for it and just believe that I'm just some dude telling you what's going on in the book. No, we need to start looking to research ourselves, because guess what? There's something in that book. I didn't read everything on those pages. You know what I mean? I just summarized and told you where to get from because I want you to read it for yourself. That's what I want. I want you to read it for yourself. You know what I mean? Get the book. I tell people that I meet, especially other black folks, if you really want to know some stuff, get Medical Apartheid by Harriet A. Washington. You can get it on Amazon. Again, it looks just like this. Looks just like this. Okay, this is the side of the book. It's the side of it. Alright? It looks just like this. And let's see, what time? Oh, something like that.